Alright guys, Dokkan time. So we are going to be going over the newly super EZA awakening of Kid Buu. He will be getting his super EZA probably within the next day or two, but we already have his details, so I wanted to go over them. The JP Dokkan Battle Twitter has already tweeted out the details here. In compliments of Goresh, we already have a translation, and then we have stats to go through. Now, as you can plainly see over here on the right side of the screen, I do have a build for him. It's an obvious one, of course. Full dodge build, and then put the rest into additional. The only reason I didn't try to make a video sooner is because I didn't know what they were going to give him. Now that we've seen his details, we know what to give him. And it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty obvious. We're going to give him the dodge and the additional. There's just nothing else to put into. So he has attack and defense plus 150% chance of performing a crit and reduce the damage by 20%. He then gains an additional attack and defense plus 250% when performing a super attack. All allies are getting ki plus 2 attack and defense plus 50%, and superclass allies gain an additional ki plus 1 attack and defense plus 10%, and extreme class allies gain an additional ki plus 2 and attack and defense plus 20% when HP is 70% or more. So extreme class allies are actually getting ki plus 4, which is wild. All allies ki plus 1 attack and defense plus 30%, and superclass allies gain an additional ki plus 1, and extreme class allies gain an additional ki plus 1 attack and defense plus 20% when HP is 69% or less. So those are two different separate modifiers based on your HP. Gain an additional chance to perform a critical hit and reduce damage received by 20% every time this character receives an attack 2 times in battle. Max of 40% for both. Recovers 10% HP at the end of the turn every time this character receives an attack 2 times in battle, max of once per turn. So, the HP recovery is 10% at the end of the turn if he got hit 2 times. Now, here's the thing. He gains an additional chance to perform a crit and reduces damage received by 20% every time this character receives an attack 2 times in battle, max of 40% for both. So, my thought process here is that based on the wording of how he translated this, he has to get hit 2 times in battle, just 2 times, and he'll have a 40% crit and dodge chance from that. But the thing is, that's per turn, because it says every time. It doesn't, but it also doesn't say of, per turn or anything, so based on his wording, I can't tell which way it is. My assumption, though, is that he just needs to get hit 2 times and he'll have that damage reduction and crit. So we're going to go based off of that, specifically. I do have, a quick rendition, summed up. So he does have attack and defense 150, 250 attack and defense on super specifically. He can heal 10% HP every time he gets hit 2 times per turn at the end of the turn. Superclass allies can have ki plus 3 attack and defense plus 60% when your HP is above 70% HP. That's a typo. I didn't mean to put that. Extreme class allies are actually getting ki plus 4 and attack and defense plus 70% if your HP is 70% or higher. He is a monstrous freaking extreme support unit, and it's insane. He can change the playing field almost. He does have big bad bosses too. But then if you fall below 70% HP, then superclass allies are only at ki plus 2 attack and defense plus 30%, and then extreme class allies are actually I'm pretty sure it's still extreme ki plus 3. Yeah, I think it'll be still extreme ki plus 3. And attack and defense plus 50%. I think I messed up on those key points. But then 60% crit and 60% damage reduction if he gets hit 2 times. So, I mean, 60% crit, 60% damage reduction. No built-in additionals, though. I mean, he doesn't really gain anything out of additionals. Now, I am going to say here, I appreciate Halvard and Luke for having calculations. My only gripe with both of their calculations are they're both a little bit off. I don't know which one is more accurate than the other. I appreciate both of them for putting up calculations. We'll take a look at Halvard's first. His start of turn defense, only 200k, so he's definitely not a slot 1 unit. Post super, he could have around 669 defense. If your HP is 69% or less, 669. If your HP is 70% or more, 714. This is implying that his support affects him as well. I always was under the assumption that his support did not affect him. So that's really weird to me. But either way, I mean, on a Majin Power team, your HP is probably going to be usually above the 70% threshold. Thankfully, it's not too big of a difference. It's still like, you know, almost 700k. It's 700k. And then with 40% support, he could hit 800k defense. Now, the thing here is like, you're probably never going to have another support unit on the same team. You know, every now and again you will. Every now and again you will. But on a 200% team, his 200% teams, he is the support. There's very little other units you'll be pairing him with on a serious team that will have double support. So I don't think it's logical that he'll be at 800k. I think you're probably sitting around the 700k range is the most realistic thought process if you have him rainbowed. Now I'm going over at Rocket Lizards. Post super 714k defense turn 1 with no big bad bosses activated. 13 million damage though is crazy. 13 million attack is insane to me. And then by turn 7, I'm not really sure what the turn thing is. I guess that he just put turn 7, you know, he gets hit, etc., etc. So, I mean, if he gets hit 2 times, you know, almost 800k defense. Does Buhan or Fab Buu support? Am I forgetting how they work? Like I said, I feel like their calculations are a little bit off between each other. But anyways, you know, he's got some good damage. He's got some good damage, 13 to 15 mil apparently, with big bad bosses activated. And I really can't stress that enough. Big bad bosses needs to be activated for this guy to really have some serious defense. And I really can't express that enough. Otherwise, if you're floating around the 600, 700k, only getting, you know, if you're only at 40% or 60% damage reduction, you're not tanking quite a lot of big fights in like 9th anniversary content. You're just not tanking it very well. He's still very good. He's still supporting the whole rotation and team an absurd amount. He's a very good unit. He's very usable now. I love it. But I really feel that based on the situation and scenario, I do feel like a full dodge build is warranted still. The additional is just put in there because he's got built-in crit. I would say you could argue that a defense orb would be fantastic for this guy. I think a defense orb would be great. I think a defense orb would go far for him, in fact. I think if you threw a level 7 defense orb on him, I think it would help him tank a good amount of extra damage that might leak through based on the enemy you're fighting. So, or you can just go full dodge. That's entirely up to you. I just feel like a defense orb might go pretty far if you have like a level 7 or a level 5 and above at the very least. I just want to look at his 200% leaders. So his 200% leaders aren't very much, and that's how all these calculations are going. So if you throw him onto a 170 team, he's got significantly less defense. You have to be very aware of that. If you throw him on any other team where he's not getting big bad bosses off, and some of these other links, his defense will be very much lower, and you do have to be careful. But, you know, as far as, like, Fat Boo's team, as far as Android 21's Majin Power-esque team goes, I feel like he'll be fine. Throwing him onto Gamma or Hirudegarn's team, I feel like he could suffer a little bit from lack of links. But I still think he would have a very solid amount of defense, especially with, like, Gamma support and Big Bad Bosses always being primarily active on a Hirudegarn team. Let's look at his link partners and his other... he's on quite a few categories. I think he can help out a very large amount of these categories, so I'm happy about that. As far as his link partners go, I mean, I love this tech exchange Buu, but with no big bad bosses activated, it just is... It's not good for Kid Buu, but it's definitely good for this Super Buu. I think it's fantastic for this tech exchange Buu. Let's see here. Yeah, his links are just going down as far as everything else goes. Yeah, so that's the only thing that I have to really make sure people are aware of is big bad bosses. You really want that to be activated for him if he's going to be taking any hits. So if you have a unit in the 3rd slot, I hope it's with big bad bosses. That's why I think he's kind of perfect for Android 21's team. Because on Android 21's team, 21 is typically the floater. Weirdly enough, the leader is the floater. So that means 2 out of 3 of the floating slots, once she's transformed into good 21, she actually has big bad bosses activated. If you're running Kid Buu in slot 2, constantly supporting whoever the slot 1 unit is, I think that's just great. I think that's perfect. I think that's a perfect setup where Kid Buu is safe. He has his Big Bad Bosses link active. He's supporting the crap out of both of the slot 1 and slot 3 units. I think it's just perfect. I think 21 is his perfect leader. The only reason I don't think Fat Buu is the perfect leader for him is because he doesn't have Big Bad Bosses. Big Bad Bosses does matter, guys. You got to realize that all of these Majin Buu Saga like upgrades we've been getting for like this guy, he doesn't have Big Bad Bosses. Tech Exchange Buu doesn't have Big Bad Bosses. But we have Buu Tanks who transforms into Buuhan, who does have Big Bad Bosses. And the damage difference between Buuhan having Big Bad Bosses and not having Big Bad Bosses is huge. Defensively, he's still fine without it, but it really does help. And the same thing can be said about the STR Buu here. So maybe not always going to be in the best linking scenario, but I still think he's fantastic. I think he's a great unit. He's 100% a full dodge build. Entirely up to the user if you want to throw in a defense equip or if you just want to throw in the extra 2 dodge. I think he'll be fantastic no matter what. Either way, he is a fantastic support unit. 70% support for extreme allies and 50-60% support for super. I think he's fantastic and I can't wait to use him. So let me know what your primary team leader, what fight are you going to go in with this guy. Just let me know what you're going to do with this kid Buu, when we get him. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good day and a good night.